Yes. Yes. But speaking of Bill and Ted Face the Music, would you like to talk about that film now?
Yeah.
Seamless.
Okay, Scott. Hey, you want to play 20 questions?
Okay, I got one.
Are you a mineral?
Yeah.
Are you a tank?
Whoa! Yeah, good one.
So, I've been waiting since 1991 for that to make sense. And Bill and Ted Face the Music, the long gestating sequel to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, conspicuously fails to address this. So it can get bent. 0 stars. Bye-bye. Bill and Ted Face the Music finds our titular heroes, played by Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, having thus far failed to write the song that will unite humanity and save the world. And Wild Stallions, rather than being the stadium-filling rock behemoths they ought to be, are in fact a wedding band, destiny being quite the burden to put on people. But at least they have their families, the princesses, in now their 3rd different castings, Ted's dad, Hal Landon Jr., Missy, Amy Stoke, now married to Ted's brother, and their daughters Thea Preston, played by Samara Weaving, and Billy Logan, Bridget Lundy Payne. Our hero's failure to write the prophesied song, though, is about to catch up with him, as Rufus's daughter arrives from the future to tell them that time and space are all collapsing and stuff, and that the universe will end in a couple of days if they don't produce the goods. To this end, Bill and Ted decide to just hop through time to visit various different versions of themselves to find out whichever version finally wrote the song, and then snaffle it. Simple. Except for the totally not a Terminator evil killer robot, Dennis, that's chasing them to fulfill the future Supreme Leader's belief that it's their death that will unite the world. Most non-heinous. Meanwhile, Thea and Billy take a time trip themselves to help their dads with the objective of forming the world's most excellent supergroup. Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, along with writers Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson, have been at pains over the last decade to convey the message that this belated sequel is not simply a cash grab, or an attempt to capitalise on trends of 80s or 90s nostalgia, that they're just friends who love each other and the characters. And I believe them. The film, like the characters, is refreshingly free from cynicism. The characters are problems, but they all love each other. There's no real conflict, at least beyond that which can be remedied by salving wounded pride, and they retain the harmless innocence of the 2 teenagers who travel through time to find Socrates, Beef Oven, and Bob Genghis Khan. And that's kind of nice. And not just in this epic show of a year, but, well, at any time. Which is not to say that the film is without problems, as it isn't. And perhaps the most glaring one is Keanu Reeves, who, well, more than anything, seems to have forgotten how to play Ted. It's like he just doesn't quite have that character in him anymore, which is a pity. Much of that is made up for, though, by an extremely keen Alex Winter, who doesn't even act nowadays, having been plying his trade behind the camera for much of the last 3 decades. Winter seems delighted to be revisiting his most famous on-screen role, and his enthusiasm is most excellent. Face the Music suffers from being rather loose and unfocused, though that's a criticism that can also be levelled at the previous 2 films, so it's fitting. Once again, the princesses could be omitted entirely without anyone even noticing, but their presence here does at least offer up a particularly entertaining marriage counselling sequence. Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne as Bill and Ted Mark II are great, and their subplot, while a rehash of excellent adventure, is fun, and William Sadler's return as the Grim Reaper is entertaining too. I would describe Bill and Ted Face the Music as alright, and definitely the least of the trilogy, but given how badly something like this could be messed up, I'll take that as a victory, particularly when my time is respected with a completely appropriate 91-minute running time.
Yeah.
Sometimes nice and also not awful are good enough.
Yes, I enjoyed this. I thought it was funny. I laughed a lot. I could probably just end it there. That's about as much as that really can to say about Bill and Ted's Face the Music. It is pretty good. I could pretend to be upset about its time travel mechanics, but I think it's better to just go by the Austin Powers rule for that one.
None of the Bill and Ted films have cared, Scott, so why should you?
No, it's not. It's not focusing on that as a major plot mechanic, really. Yes, it's funny, and I like all the characters. It's nice to see them again. I thought the two, Bill and Ted's kids, Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne, do incredibly great impressions of a young Bill and Ted, and I thought that was very funny all the way throughout, and I almost wish it had just been about them. Yes, it's funny. It's got lots of funny little situations, and I liked it. I will probably never think of it much again. I'm not sure anyone's a huge fan of Bill and Ted, but I watched them and I liked them. And this one, I watched it and I liked it, and I'll probably not watch this ever again. But if I did, I would probably enjoy it quite a bit at that point as well. It's a nice, unassuming, safe little comedy. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I went back to watch the first two films again before this, which I hadn't seen in years. Especially Excellent Adventure. I'd forgotten quite how fun Excellent Adventure was.
I mean, it's in the title, Drew. It's excellent.
It is. It's most excellent, really. And I don't know. It's. I think even from the beginning, it's not cynical.
It's just fun.
Yeah, and it doesn't have like the really tiresome high school tropes of, I don't know, bullies or them being outsiders or something. They're in their own wee world and they don't care, but they're really good friends, and like, that's nice. And it was remarkable at the time. It's possibly even more remarkable now. What I was disappointed to find out, though, is that the Bill and Ted theme tune that's been stuck in my head for the last 3 weeks constantly isn't actually in the film at all. It must have only been in the animated series, which I remember watching as a kid. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, most outstanding in every way. But yeah, I watched this and like, it's forgettable fluff, but it's the right sort of silly.
Yeah.
Silly with heart and no consequence, and clearly the characters, the actors are enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think that really gets transmitted to the screen, particularly in the most recent case with Alex Winter. And it's just a lot of fun. The fact I'm still talking is probably more than it deserves, but if I stop talking, I'll have to think about everything else that's happened this year, and I don't want to. Don't make me, Scott.
Yeah, as you mentioned, if there's ever a year for entirely uncynical, enjoyable fluff as an escape, then this is definitely the year for it. So, kudos for its timing, I suppose, in that regard. Yeah.
Station.